Hello, I'm Nan Simonsen. I'm a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, and I want to welcome you to my PowerPoints segment that is points of interest as it relates to lifestyle as medicine. I wrote a book that has 10 points. Powerfully is 10 actually acronym words. I didn't say that right, did I? It doesn't matter. Anyway, Powerfully is an acronym, 10 words about lifestyle as medicine. And I've been a health coach with a lifestyle medical practice for going on 7 years now. Um, and I am convinced as I work with groups and as I work with patients that the more we take on ourselves of self-care and uh, our efforts, simple efforts at lifestyle practices, um, the more we can maintain vital health into our 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even beyond. I'm 74 now, wrote that 4 years ago, and I feel stronger than ever. I recently, and as recent as the last half a year, took a deep dive beyond just my whole food plant-based diet, practicing and following the pillars of lifestyle as medicine as ascribed or recommended by the College of Lifestyle Medicine. And I've been whole food plant-based all that time, but I took a deeper dive because there were some health issues that I wanted to overcome, inflammatory issues that I just couldn't release with whole food plant-based alone. And in September, I did 6 weeks based on her books and her podcasts of Dr. Brook Goldner's Goodbye Lupus protocol. And that's basically food and other recommendations, but I had remarkable results from that, and you'll see other podcasts about that, and I'll include a couple of the ones that highlight the results and more of the program. I'll include it in this description. And I did that for 6 weeks, September through October of 2024. And then when she actually had her group, the next group that I could get into, her rapid recovery group under the tutelage of both her and her husband. She's an MD. She's also a board certified psychiatrist, also an expert at uh, well, reversing autoimmune diseases and other diseases using food as medicine. I took that course and it was 6 weeks, just ended, 3 weeks ago. And I couldn't get enough. And so I audited the course, which meant that I paid a certain amount and could hang around in the background that's otherwise closed. In other words, on Facebook, listening again and again and again to her take the entire group through the process from beginning to end and watch her training and her healing videos. Well, as I'm doing that, because this was this new group's first week, and I remember the first week, it's a simple program, but it doesn't mean it's easy. And it felt like a lot coming at us, plus a high raw diet, very, rather restrictive and very specific. And one of the things that I saw throughout a dozen, almost, well, not quite 2 dozen videos that she used, including their live session with the group where they can actually do live coaching, was the reminder that what we think will take us to success and wellness or can take us into a dark hole and actually keep us sick, well, for the rest of our lives. And so, keeping mindset in mind, I decided that I was going to give, because this could be a master class, but I could give some simple steps of the things that I learned in her program through those 6 weeks, through one training session after another, on mindset, on how we can control where our mind can take us. And I've actually labeled this the magic of the mind and how to stay positive no matter what. Um, so I'm going to go over my notes with you and hope that this can help make a difference. I know her course has changed my life. I know I see things differently because I heard for 6 weeks and now I'm hearing for another 6 weeks ways to keep this where it needs to be so that this, the body, will follow. All right, I'm going to begin by reminding you of what well, if you don't know it, I've just said it. We all experience highs and lows, but it is through our interpretation of those highs and lows, be they illness or loss or change or disappointment. It's through our interpretation that we give power to what is before us. And that power through our mindset can take us through anything. It's not just a buzzword. The lens through which we see the world is our mindset. And the real magic is that when we shift our mindset, everything else will shift as well. Our mood, our choices, our health, our relationships, and our outcomes. A positive mindset doesn't mean ignoring the hard stuff or pretending that everything is okay. It means choosing how we respond to what life brings us. It means choosing growth over defeat, hope over despair, progress over perfection. It means allowing for what is and finding the best in it. So, how do we stay positive when life feels anything but? Here are the 5 simple things, practical tips that can help you manage your mindset no matter what's going on around you. And if you replay this, if you jot them down, even on a 3x5 card, if you put a post-it note on your mirror, I find that that's what my sort of rewalking the process has done for me, even though I've gone through it twice. Now, let me clarify. The first time in September of last year, although she has weekly free 1 hour question and answer sessions where you get a lot of her uh, philosophy, her training, her mindset training. That first time doing it on my own was just about the food. It was learning the food, it was staying with it. And even then, I came near to healing my high uh, uh, autoimmune responses. But the second time around was where I knew I could make it stick because I could stop the hamster wheel of rumination about fears or past traumas and actually grow beyond them. And that's where I got my greatest, my greatest change. And I hope because this is what it comes down to, at least in my book. I hope this can help. So, first of all, start with gratitude. And I know this sounds like such a cliche. Oh, not that again. But gratitude is one of the fastest ways to shift to a powerful mindset. It actually helps train the brain to look for what's good, even in the middle of chaos. Dr. Goldner is a master at this, a master. Those of us who know her well through her work and have understood her life know that she went through one of the most painful life situations about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, that anyone can imagine. And yet she has risen above that pain because of exactly this, the way she looks at the world. Her grandmother taught her that. She was a Holocaust survivor, had been in a work camp through the World War II. And she said to Dr. Goldner, and this is a very minor example, when you hear music, you dance. Isn't that beautiful? It's a metaphor for so much more. So Start with gratitude. Um, why not start the day naming in bed 3 things that we're grateful for? Later in the day, be grateful for the simplest things. Some examples could be of, well, how about a gratitude, feeling grateful for the warm cup of tea that we start our morning with or coffee? How about being thankful that we were able to get out of bed in the morning? How about looking around at a sky, whether it's rainy or cloudy or clear the way mine is right now, and be thankful for another day that we get to experience? How about appreciating anything that came to us that lit us up, even a text from a friend just checking in on us. So again, gratitude rewires your brain and opens the door for joy. It doesn't have to be big or profound, just honest. And when you start out your day in gratitude, we give our minds a powerful foundation that can carry us through the entire day. Number 2, control the controllables. So much of life is out of our hands. So much of what happens to us, we couldn't change. However, what we focus on is what we can control. The way we see it, the way we let it affect us, the way we let our mind wrap around us is absolutely in our control and can affect our attitude, our reactions, our habits. We can take our power back by taking control of the way we look at things. So control the controllables. Do whatever we can to control our reactions to things and the way we move forward. And we are then not victims of those things that can happen to us. Some examples might be, I can't control traffic, but I can control whether or not I'll have calming, soothing music in the background, whether or not I can stop judging others and their hideous driving lately, and simply control the fact that I will keep myself safe as best I can, looking around, being careful, and enjoying the ride ahead of me rather than being annoyed or angry at something that had happened, being cut off or, being worried about danger that I perceived around me by people who were, I call it irresponsible. Even judging it that way doesn't help. I can't change somebody else's attitude, but I can set boundaries about what I'm willing to take, and I can reframe the things that I could very easily criticize or critique and see it with all best intentions in mind. I can't fix everything today, but I can take small steps toward it. If I look around and there are things that are not as I would like them, small things moving toward that can settle my mind and make me feel better. And if you were tasked with examples of this, you would choose things that were uppermost on your mind, and it could be helpful to have your own examples. When we redirect our energy toward the things that we can influence, we stop feeling helpless and we start feeling hopeful. 3, speak kindly to yourself. Notice your inner dialogue. The way we talk to ourselves creates the environment we live in. And if we want peace and resilience, we have to plant seeds of self-compassion. Practice saying things to yourself like, I need rest today, so that's okay. I'm going to be easy on myself. Like, I'm learning and it takes time. I didn't get that right, but I'll get better each time with practice. Things like, that didn't go as I had hoped, but I can grow from that. In my life, I uh, came to this time in my life at 74 being awful to myself as it relates to my not being like everybody else in the way I do things. I ADHD, and it can really be rather distracting. No pun intended, and dyslexic and some learning disabilities. There's a lot of things I can do right, but there are a lot of things that get muddied up in this. And I was really hard on myself, and it to the degree that all day long, as time was going on, I was catching myself doing things wrong and labeling them and labeling myself. And I've come up with, I'll call it a new mantra as it relates to mindset. And I can actually see it as oh gosh, almost as if I'm watching a video. My life and in my life, it's a dance, and I move to my own beat. In other words, instead of seeing the divergence, they call it neurodivergence, as a black mark on a grading sheet, I can look at it as, look at this. I can dance, I can waltz, but I make up my own steps. Isn't that amazing and very impressive? That's the way I think of it now. And you know what? I am not in my case, not in my face anymore, and I love it. I really appreciate the person I am. That's really personal, but I shared it with you anyway. So, a good rule is that if you wouldn't say a thing to your best friend, don't say it to yourself. Catch yourself in that state of affairs. If I wouldn't say it to a best friend or somebody whom I wanted to elevate, why would I ever say that to myself? Number 4, surround yourself with positivity. Limit negativity. Purposely limit it. Your environment, what you read, who you follow, who you talk to, shapes your thoughts. Be intentional about what you're going to let in, like news, social media, toxic relationships. Some simple shifts could be to follow uplifting and spiritual or inspiring social media, to call a friend who energizes you instead of one who drains you, who is always struggling to find the good in life. Before you know it, we're pulled down to the level or pulled up to the other. Take a walk in nature instead of getting stuck in a news cycle. Did you know that there is a Japanese study that proves the power of forest bathing? No, you don't have to, and that doesn't mean getting naked. There have been studies, even in America, that the environment, the botanical environment that we walk in, and it can be in neighborhoods, affects the elements in the air. Light affects the elements, photons in the air that can even travel through clothes and affect us at a biological level, whether it's through breathing in our microbiome, infusing our skin. In other words, getting outside, just changing our environment, maybe getting out of a room, especially getting into light, can make a enormous difference with the way we see the world. Positivity is contagious. Choose people and environments that feed your mindset, not starve it. And then number 5, pause, breathe, reset. Write that down. Pause, breathe, reset. When stress rises in you, pause. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Just take a moment, pause, take a deep breath, and then let that interrupt the spiral that you are in and bring you back to center. And we can call that reset. Because when we start to stress, we tend to spiral and it tends to get tighter and tighter. Pause, breathe, let it reset. You can also try these things in an argument, and this is kind of fun. I can't wait. I was going to say, I can't wait for the next argument with my husband to try this one. In an argument, excuse me, I need a moment to breathe before I respond to this. Isn't that great? I'm going to need a moment to breathe to respond before I respond to this. Hmm. Before sending a tough email, take 3 deep breaths and reread it. When overwhelmed, put a hand on your heart. Breathe slowly for 30 seconds. Shift your attention and then reset. Dr. Goldner, and I'll end with this. Dr. Goldner, in one of her daily recitations of recommendations for any of the things that people are going through during 6 weeks of changing their lives through changing their behaviors, including by changing their food and watching their health change as well, has a personal breath meditation. Now, she has a lot of them, and so this isn't necessarily the name of it. I don't even know the name of it. But I remember I was in the car listening when I heard this, and I loved it. Take a deep breath, at which time you say your name. Nan, Nan. And then in the exhale, insert a word that could calm you or could take you to a safer, better place, or a combination of words. Nan, as I'm breathing in, enough, or you're enough. Breathe in, peace. Breathe in, you're safe. Breathe in, you're loved. Breathe in, equanimity. In other words, balance. Breathe in, joy. And do that repetitively for any number of breaths as we feel the response from that. It actually, and again, she's a board certified psychiatrist, it actually helps reset the brain. In conclusion, we can't always control what happens to us, but we can always choose how we're going to show up for it. That's the real magic of mindset. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. It's about using the tools we already have to guide ourselves back to peace again and again. And that's where the power lies. That's that. I hope you got something out of this. Give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing and sharing. Let people know that this is a positive space. And I wish you only the best. And have a great day. I know I'm going to. All right. Bye bye.